Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the class tonight. We've been exploring the book called A Journey to Love. And this journey to love, it's been a 30-day return to love journey. And you can still join us in the community and go through it for yourself, self-paced. We have prompts every day. We have practices, and we have live circles like this where we share inside the community. So I want to welcome everyone. I want you to take a deep breath. Inhaling, filling up with air, and allowing yourself to arrive deeply into this present moment. So this space where I'm sharing with you is not about perfection. It's really about remembering the beauty that is within you and divinity that exists as you. So many of us were taught to abandon ourselves, to disconnect from our feelings, to armor our hearts and try not to be vulnerable because we've been taught that vulnerability is weakness. So we did all of this in order to survive, and that prevent us from truly living on some level when we have to be closed and guarded like that. And what I really love about this book, called once again Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, this book, it reminds us that love is not something we have to earn. It's what we are underneath the conditioning, just as the beautiful beings that we're created to be. We're deserving of love, we're deserving of goodness. We don't have to earn our worthiness, our love in this world. So tonight isn't just a discussion, it's an invitation to become more aware of where fear has shaped all of our lives, collectively and individually as well. So to anchor in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes and take a few slow, deep breaths in through your nose. Inhaling, letting your lower abdomen fill up with air like a balloon, expanding. And at the height of that inhale, just pause briefly. And then exhale. Let it all go. Inhaling once again, filling your body, filling up with air, prana, chi. Notice what you're carrying today emotionally. Just notice where you are emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically. Not trying to fix anything, without any judgment. Just witnessing on how you feel on those levels. Continually deepen the breath throughout this entire practice and transmission, just to be present and in the body. Now, gently ask yourself, where in my life am I still operating from fear instead of love? Just ask, not the rational mind, but just allow the answer or whatever comes up to arise and trust that. Just witness. Just notice what arises. Continually follow the breath, inhaling and exhaling. This allows us to be more conscious of what is happening in the body as an expression of the emotions without just trying to analyze it by the mind. We have to feel it to heal it and for things to really start moving in the body instead of having so much energy, so much emotion, so much trauma, pain, and even the good stuff that we have. If we're locked up and don't want to be vulnerable, we can't feel it and access it in our body in a real way because we mentalize and think about things too much. So instead of experiencing reality, we're always thinking about, reality and what is going on. So one of the core teachings from this book is love versus fear. So most humans think that fear is normal, because we've been conditioned into fear-based thinking collectively. I need some water now. But we've all been conditioned into fear-based ways of thinking. You know, like our fear-based culture, you turn on the media, it's all fear. And then when you look how our lives are set up, most of us are in survival mode. And even our nervous system is usually activated in fight or flight because we live in such a busy society and we don't have time to regulate our nervous system. You know, we have fears in relationships. Most of us have the fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough, even the fear of being seen. So we have this lens we've been programmed and conditioned to view and relate to the world from fear. One of the most powerful teachings in this book is that love is what we were born with. It's naturally who we are. And fear is what we've learned in the conditioning, in what you can call the matrix or the program. School, society as we know it, the media, it's all fear-based programming. So this changes everything. You know, it means that healing is not about becoming something new or even becoming more. Healing is about remembering what was always right here, right there as the beautiful being that you are. It's just the accumulation of patterns, of trauma, of conditioning, of a mindset, of what you focus on, and you take on that identity. And like I said, it's pointing to that fear-based identity and small self. So here's some questions for you. Where do you notice fear operating most strongly in your life? It might be in finances. You know, it might be in your relationship. It might be with your family or your children or even your career. You have fear-based, thoughts and ways that you're operating. So what is good about these questions and even just reflections and questions in general is because you don't want to just be taking in information passively. You want to question and analyze how it is applicable to your life and how you can utilize it in a good way. So when we're talking about the way that we orient and view the world, it's either through a lens of fear or love. And then we want to come back and ask these questions so that you can develop the awareness and the ability to do the deeper inner work. So question number 1, where do you notice fear operating most strongly in your life right now? And answer these not from a place of judgment, but just pure awareness. Because we have to bring the conditioning and the limiting beliefs and these patterns, these fear-based patterns to our awareness so that we can change them. All right? And that change is pointing to an improvement in our life, in our situation, and whatever the corresponding levels are. So question number 2, what protective patterns have you developed to avoid pain? So I realized a long time ago that humans, we are oriented in a few ways. One is to avoid pain, and the next is to seek or continue pleasure or whatever feels good. So it's good to know our protective patterns that we develop to avoid pain, because most human beings are afraid of more psychological pain, So when you can say our ancestors were in fear or their fear of pain, it was more of a lived and immediate threat, an animal, a lion in the landscape. So you got to be able to see that and then run, right? But now most of us in the modern world, we don't have more physical threats like animals in the background that might eat us. We have other fears that are like animals in the background because it triggers us in the same reactive patterns, fear-based patterns. So if it's whatever you're struggling with, whatever you're focusing on, whatever is, giving your attention to and it's causing you a level of dysregulation and anxiety, that thing is the fear-based pattern, and that thing is the lion in the background that you're scared of that's going to eat you. So your nervous system still reacts in the same way with your psychological patterns in relation to fear and pain, which may or may not ever happen. But because of the creative nature of the mind, if it's undisciplined, we can easily get caught up in the fear-based thinking based on the past and our past experiences and what if thinking, what if this, what if, you know? So we have to tap into these practices and certain levels of awareness to see what our patterns are and see that they're not serving us because they're not giving us the results that we desire. And if you're not getting the results, then you have to change the habits and the patterns that we've been going on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So the third question is, have you ever confused fear, attachment, control, or trauma chemistry with love? Have you ever confused fear, attachment, control, or trauma chemistry with love? So basically, you ever been in a relationship where it was some toxic patterns, right? But your nervous system kind of liked that excitement of that pattern. So sometimes, you're in the relationship and you experience these emotions, fear. What if this person leaves me? There's the abandonment wound. There might be an attachment where you can't let go of the person. You become codependent. You want to control or they want to control you. Or there is chemistry based on your trauma and your past patterns. A lot of us have been in these relationships because when we don't heal and bring these things to awareness, it still operates in the unconscious mind. So we have to do the work to look at what is happening on a deeper level. And I'm so excited to be taking this 30-day Return to Love portal. And this is what this live class is about. This is week 2. And you're invited to join us because you can join anytime and go through the journey and be able to access these live classes. And then I'm excited because I also just released my new potent and powerful workbook that is rooted in my 20-year experience of learning, growing, healing, and doing the work and teaching in my various communities. So all of that can be accessed by joining my newsletter on my website, shanikaheals.com. All right? And then you can also join the Revive community by clicking the link in my bio and joining there, because this is where all this juiciness lives and the wisdom and knowledge and the connection in the community continues. So the fourth question is, what would change in your life? What would change in your life if you truly believe you were already worthy of love? Let me say that again. What would change in your life if you truly believe that you were already worthy of love? Worthy of love? You might be saying, why don't I believe that I'm worthy of love? It might be from our past, patterns that started in childhood where we related and viewed the relationship between our parents and that dynamics. So it might have been toxic patterns of relating in love where we've seen fighting or drama or, different things that happen in our childhood. And it forms our understanding of relationships and love. And sometimes we learned that to get the love that we deserved, we had to earn it. We had to try to be the emotional crutch for our parents, or we try to perform or try to be special in different ways to earn the approval or to earn love in those relationships. So that fourth question, what would you change in your life if you truly believe you're already worthy of love? So this is a powerful question to ask. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're able to join us. And So these are four potent and powerful questions that you should ask yourself. If you just joined us, you can always go back and watch the replay. But this is a powerful teachings and powerful questions to help you go deeper in this work. So teaching number 2 that I found very powerful in this book on this second week, and it's about surrender. Most people think that surrender means weakness, but surrender is actually the end of resistance. Because so many of us move through our lives resisting every moment of our experience, resisting our emotions. Welcome, welcome. Please mute yourself and just listen. So the second powerful teaching this week is all about surrender. So like I was saying, most of us relate surrender back to weakness, but surrender is when our resistance to life ends. We stop resisting the things that are happening in our lives. We stop resisting the emotions, and we're able to witness and come from a place of more calmness and acceptance. So our ego survives through control, but healing often begins when we stop trying to force life. And that's when the resistance and pushing comes in. It feels like running, like you're constantly running up a hill instead of walking down, at a more calm pace. You're like always pushing and trying to do. So so as I said, healing begins when we stop trying to force life and instead become willing to see and relate to life differently. So surrender also points to letting go. You're letting go of your old identity, rooted in fear, rooted in victimhood. You're surrendering your projections. These are the things in your own inner world, your limiting beliefs, your fears, your doubts, and projecting them. You're done projecting those things into the world unconsciously. And you want to start looking at those things on a conscious level, bringing them to awareness so that you can shift and change them. And we're also surrendering fear-based stories. Fear-based stories. Because as I was saying, we live and experience life through our mind. Everything that is happening, we process it mentally, and we usually have some story to go along with it and some meaning that we give to it based on our past and our patterns once again. So these stories and these patterns and fear-based stories of how we see the world prevents us from seeing and experience life as it is. But we don't see life like that. We experience life as we are, and our frame of reference being our own mental projection and perspective on how we view the world, how we view each other, our beliefs, whether conscious or subconscious, and how we relate to everything in life. So as we relinquish fear, we become instruments for God. As we relinquish fear, right? You're letting go of fear and you're tuning in to love, which you naturally are, which is beneath all the programming, all of the things that you've picked up on this journey of your life and over-identified with it. Underneath all those things is your divine and beautiful natural self. So as you let go of the fear, you embody the love that you are, and you'll naturally become an instrument for God. Because you are God, you are, what's my saying that I love? You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the ocean in a drop. When you tune into that reality of the power that you are, and to have the tools to utilize that power and to harness your energy and start living from that place of deep embodiment to be of service on this planet, you are an instrument for God. All right? So when we stop feeding fear constantly, when we make space for more love, tuning and listening to our intuition, accessing more of our spiritual sexual energy and channeling that into being more creative, we start to tap into more clarity, and peace can move through us because peace is what we are and what we've embodied. So give me 1 second. I'm going to get some water. So this is the work of the inner ecology and the work that we need to be doing if we say that we want to improve the world. If we want to shift and improve the world, it starts with us and our internal reality. Put a little sea salt in your water. I don't have any lime down here in this kitchen, or else I'd put some in there. Because as you can hear, I have a little congestion going on. So let me get back to the matter at hand. So I want to do an exercise to shift perception, right? So bring to mind a relationship, situation, or struggle causing you pain right now, right? Just think about it. Bring it up. Notice the story your mind tells about it. What are the thoughts? What's the story behind this thing that you've been struggling with, right? Now gently ask, what if I'm seeing this only through the lens of fear? Whatever situation it is, relationship, situation, struggle, something that you're challenged with in your life right now. And just gently ask yourself, what if I'm seeing this only through the lens of fear? And then ask again, what would love see here? What would compassion see? What would my higher self see? And you take a breath, and you take a breath. You allow yourself to soften. You take another deep breath, and you exhale. So this book, called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, is based on A Course in Miracles principles. And it says that miracles are a shift in perception, right? A shift in perception can happen like that. And that's how miracles happen. So once you're able to become miracle-minded, when you're able to shift your perception from relating to the world in fear, and you shift to your original consciousness that is rooted in love, that's it, the state or vibration that miracles can happen in. So miracles are a shift in perception, being able to see a situation differently from another lens, from the lens of love. So whatever situation you're in or whatever you're experiencing, you can experience a miracle by asking, what would love see here? How would my higher self respond to this situation? Right? So this is the inner work that we have to do to be able to embody and become who our full potential, who we are on a deeper level, on a soul level, so that we can embody the change and be able to have the access to the spiritual energy, the creative power, the courage to take action in the physical world and to manifest and create from that place of love, right? So this is how we transform the planet. This is how we build eco-villages and communities, by embodying our purpose and what it is that we're here to do. But we can't do that fully if our energy is tied up in fear, in the illusion, in separation, in fighting each other, in competing, essentially in being slaves of a machine. And that's what you are when you don't when you're trapped in these patterns, largely the pattern created by society to live a certain way and to go on this, machine, to feed the machine and maintain the machine, or you can become an autonomous and sovereign being and find your place in the universe, in your community, in your family, to embody this change and shift in consciousness. So here's a reflection or a journal prompt for you. Where has fear been shaping my identity? Where has fear been shaping my identity? Another one. What would it mean to trust love more deeply? What would it mean to trust love more deeply? And you can even say, would it mean to trust life more deeply? What would it mean to trust myself more deeply? You can use this question and frame it in different relations. What am I being invited to surrender? What are you being invited to let go? What situation, what's the challenge in your life, and what are you learning from this process? How do you need to shift and change? For me, I feel like I need to let go of my my need to feel like I'm doing something, So I would say I'm also inviting more rest into my life and more support on many levels. So what part of me is ready to come home to myself? What part of you have you abandoned that you need to reclaim and bring back home to yourself? Powerful questions that I invite you to ponder upon and reflect and journal. So I want to thank you for showing up honestly tonight for yourself. Healing happens in spaces where we can be real and authentic with ourselves and each other, where we no longer have to pretend that we're okay, or that we have all the answers, or everything is good. Healing happens in spaces where we can be authentic and real and raw. And that's how I've been inspired to live my life, because as I've been on this spiritual journey, I've only become more real and authentic, because spirituality doesn't mean perfect. It means authentically you. So as you do this work to get to peel off the layers of who you are not, right? The over-identification with fear and these fear-based patterns and ways of thinking and relating, you can become more of your authentic self. Beautiful, radiant, creative, and tap into that inner genius that lives with you. So this is the vision for Revibe and the virtual community that we're building, as well as the physical regenerative projects and eco-villages and intentional communities that we're building and calling you to be a part of. So this is the work of now to build the future in the communities that we desire. So I really believe that part of the deeper medicine of this work is realizing that we're never meant to do this alone. The healing of the individual and the healing of the community are deeply connected. So this week, practice witnessing fear without becoming it. Pausing, witnessing the breath, the emotions, the thoughts that come up. Pause, breathe, and just witness before that automatic mind kind of comes on and want to shift and analyze or control everything. So remember that love is not something outside of you. It is your natural state, underneath the conditioning, underneath the fear, underneath the doubt, right? So let's take 3 breaths together. And if you're able to expand the arms when we breathe, you can join that, or you can even just bring the arms up for the inhale and then exhale down, or just do the breath, whatever works for you. So 3 breaths together. Inhaling, Expanding, filling up at the height. Pause. Exhale. Letting it all go. Inhaling again. Expanding. One more sip. Pause. Exhale. One more breath. Inhale. Expanding, bringing in more love and vitality and energy. Exhaling, letting go of all stagnation and all that no longer serves you. So may we remember love. May we all become instruments of peace. And may we return to ourselves and each other over and over and over again. Because that is the practice. This is the way. It's not being perfect. It is realizing that we always have a chance to start anew and to shift our perspective and return to love. And I need some tea. So thank you so much for joining. Once again, you can join in the space and just share in the community. The book is there. Everything is there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just closing up.